Hi, and welcome to another episode of Irtiza versus Mustafa Sports Talk. For everyone that's tuning into this episode, we had another episode last week. Please tune into that one. We started the discussion of who we believe the greatest athlete of all time is. Now, we don't really believe there's an actual discussion that can be made here because so many different sports, so many different athletes, so many different variations to who you can say is the greatest, depending on how much wins they have or their athletic abilities. But as we were discussing, I believe that a team athlete should be considered greater than a single sport athlete because they not only elevate their own game, but they elevate the entire team's game. And if you've listened to last week's episode, or if you haven't and you're tuning into just this week's episode, my brother Mustafa, he believed that single sport athletes were better and should be considered as greater athletes than team sport athletes. Now, I was bringing up the athlete Wayne Gretzky, widely known as the greatest NHL player of all time. He has more than 1,000 points compared to the next player, which is Jaromir Jagr. He's won 4 championships. So I believe Wayne Gretzky, I would put who I believe is the greatest athlete of all time. He played in a very team-oriented sport where it's very difficult to dominate for one single player, but he did dominate. And he was by far the best player, and the results proved it because he ended up with 4 championships. So that's why I believe that he not only elevated his game, but elevated his entire team game and took players with him that maybe if they were on a different team wouldn't have ever won a championship. So I'm going to pass it on to my brother and let's see what he has to say.
I don't agree with that because a privileged sport like hockey... It is. It can only be played by people who have money, essentially. Because, for example, when I was growing up, I used to play ice hockey. And for the people that know me, I was pretty damn good at hockey. But at one point, me and my family could not afford to pay for the league anymore. So I had to stop playing just because the expense of playing hockey. The equipment is expensive, the leagues are expensive, everything is expensive about hockey. That's why I believe there's not much competition when you play hockey. And for people that never tuned into last week's episode, I was saying Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps should always be put up there as the greatest. I'm going to give you an example of Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt, out of 21 World Championships or Olympics, has medaled in 19 of them. He has, in 3 straight Olympics, he won gold in every event he competed in. In 2004, in 2008, 2012, and 2016 Olympics, he's only won gold. He's dominated sports. He can't get no help like Wayne Gretzky can or Michael Jordan can. There's no one to help him. If he has an off day or he slips or trips up a bit, he can't get any help. He's gonna lose. He can't have one mishap throughout his whole race. He's got to train 3+ years for a 10-second race in the 100-meter dash. He also is the fastest man ever recorded in 100 meters and 200 meters. So I don't think there's any competition, and everyone can run. That doesn't have a disability. Anyone can run. Now Paralympic athletes, a different topic. Those are by far the greatest athletes, but we're not going to bring that into this topic for right now. But they have the most obstacles and challenges to overcome. They are way above every athlete in both of our opinions. There's no question about it.
Well, I definitely agree with the Paralympic athletes. To overcome a disability and to be the greatest in a sport after overcoming such hard obstacles in your life, it's unimaginable, and I can't even think of what they have gone through to achieve what they have in their sports. But on the topic that you brought up, Usain Bolt, yes, Usain Bolt is the greatest runner. Yes, he's the greatest runner, but it's the exact thing that I'm saying. Usain Bolt, you said in 100 meters, can't even make a simple mistake or he loses. There's no one there to help him. Agreed. But at the same time, there's no one there to bring him down. It's him. if he runs fast and he doesn't make a mistake, he wins.
Yeah, but it's not a privileged sport like hockey, where no one plays. It's like half the world doesn't play hockey. Who does Wayne Gretzky have to compete against?
Okay, so then what about basketball? Not a privileged sport. Sure, there are people that are privileged that play basketball. There are people that are, let me finish. There's people that are privileged that play basketball. But there are those that come from very dire situations and become NBA athletes, a team sport, and a sport that is worldwide played.
Yeah,
a sport that is also growing worldwide.
It is, but the difference is there still will never be as much competition as running. Because more people are able to run. Everyone runs when they're growing up. Everyone in the playground does 100-meter sprints or a race. So I don't know what your point is. It doesn't make any sense. And also, you can look at Michael Phelps is a different story because swimming is not as like readily available as like someone that wants to do a race. But Michael Phelps has dominated the sport like no other as well. So I don't want you to forget him. And we can bring up boxing too, or MMA, like Floyd Mayweather. He's never lost. He has to do it by himself. He doesn't have a teammate helping him. He won't have Steve Kerr helping him win a championship.
But see, that's I agree with running being a more widely available sport. Everyone that is able to do it can do it. I believe in fighting being a more readily available sport. I agree with that. But you can't say, you brought up Floyd Mayweather, you can't say, Floyd doesn't have a teammate. He goes in there, he performs, he outperforms the opponent, he wins. Right? Of course, if he makes a mistake, it's on him. He can't blame anyone. But at the same time, look at team sports. Look at LeBron James. For the past decade, LeBron James is widely considered the greatest NBA player playing. By his peers, by coaches, by fans, even those that hate him understand that he is the greatest player playing right now. Right? How many championships does he have? 4.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point. He has 4 championships. His teammates, if they were all as good as LeBron James, let's say, would probably have more.
Yeah, but also, I knew you were going to bring up LeBron James because that's what you always do, but that's another topic for another day. But LeBron James would not have a few of his championships without his teammates. For example, Ray Allen obviously LeBron carried the team, but Ray Allen saved him in that game. He would probably have 3 championships. With a team sport, you can have off days. And another thing is they have series. In the Olympics is one race. They have series. You can lose 2 games, have 2 off games. You can have 3 off games because it's the best out of 7. And then you can dominate the rest of the games and still win. Okay. But in a fight or in a 100-meter race, it's one attempt. That's it.
Okay, so what about a one-game team sport like the Super Bowl, football?
Yeah, but
Tom Brady.
Yeah, but Tom Brady only plays one position. He doesn't have to do anything but throw the ball.
Yes, but as that being the most important position in the game, if Tom Brady is off that day, in this past Super Bowl, if Tom Brady was off, the Buccaneers wouldn't have won.
Yeah, but Tom Brady is my favorite player as well in the NFL, but Tom Brady had such a great team this year. Now, you can't say he never had a good team. Well, if you stack up a team, I'm pretty sure if you give Aaron Rodgers the same team, he can win too.
Yeah, but these people elevate the team. When we talk about stacking up teams, especially in the NBA when the players get together and stack up teams, no, they elevate each other's game. That's how it works. It's not one player can't make you win in a team sport. That's the point I'm trying to make. So when a team athlete wins a lot, or has records that holds, averages the most points, or averages the most assists, or has the most points, most assists, they're also elevating their teammates whom without them wouldn't be that good.
Okay, but so you think LeBron James is the greatest right now, which I do too. But they only compete against NBA teams. How do you know there's not a European team or a team in China that can compete against the last year's championship, which is the Los Angeles Lakers? They won the championship. It was a bubble season, but they won the championship, but they only compete against the North American teams. They don't have to compete against teams in Europe. Those leagues can potentially be better, some players, because they can't leave sometimes because of the situations, or they can't speak the English properly, or they're comfortable in their home country, or they want to stay with their family, or they're getting paid more in their leagues. So sometimes the best players are not even playing in the NBA or NHL. So, but in the Olympics, it's the best of the best. There's no, it's only from this league. So I don't know what your point is here.
But at the same time, I agree. But Olympics is one event. Yes, you have to qualify. Yes, you have to win throughout the year to qualify for the Olympics. And the best, yes, do qualify. I agree with what you're saying. The best from the world do qualify. But it's one event. It's one shot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So if it's one shot in a series, no, it doesn't. A series is harder. A series is harder. Because in a series, you have to dominate. You have to prove that you're better.
But in a series, also, like how you can bring up injuries too. In a series, if you're slightly injured, you can take even few games off and come back and be almost 100%. But in a back to a 100-meter race or 200-meter race, you can't take it off, because if you take it off, you're out. There's no series. It's not like, my ankle's injured this game, I'm gonna take it off, or I won't go too hard this game and I can play next game. There's no such thing like that.
All right. I mean, but I believe a team sport is better, and especially a team sport that has a series like NHL and NBA, as opposed to one game or one event, because I believe sports is about overcoming, and in a series you can overcome defeat, you can overcome injury, you can overcome a bad game, a bad play. Yeah. But in a single event, especially not a game, not like football, in a single event like a race that's so quick, you can't overcome anything. If you trip, your race is done. Does that mean had Usain Bolt tripped and lost, does that mean the person racing next to him is better?
No, but it means that he can't make a mistake. He can't make a mistake. Like, you could bring up hockey and basketball. Like LeBron James, once again, he can miss his first 10 shots, but then dominate the rest of the game and take over and win the game. Like he usually does. He always dominates. And same with Wayne Gretzky. He can dominate. He can have a period or two, and he can still dominate the third period and win the game for them. But they have so many other factors. Like, how can you say Wayne Gretzky is the best player in hockey when he only plays forward? What about the defense? What about the goalie? In my opinion, goalie is the hardest position in probably team sports, especially in hockey. If your goalie has an off game, you will not win. You could have the best of the best players all on one team, but you will not win if your goalie has an off game. And no one throws in defense or goalie as the greatest. It's always like nowadays they say Connor McDavid is the greatest. Before they used to say Ovechkin and Crosby is the greatest. Why is it never a defense or a goalie? Why is it always based on who's scoring the most goals? Same with soccer. I've been hearing Messi and Ronaldo are the greatest. They're great, but what about the players that play defense? What about the goalie? Why do they always have to be forwards? Why do they always have to be the people that do the goals? Is it because they're exciting? Is it because the fans like them? It doesn't prove anything. Like, they only play one part of the sport. They don't play the other part of the sport. Same with saying Tom Brady is the greatest. He only throws the ball. That's it. He does one thing. He throws the ball. He is the greatest quarterback of all time and also my favorite player, but he only does one aspect of the game. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't run. He doesn't kick. He doesn't do any of that. So I'm just gonna have to give it back to you for this.
Well, I mean, I don't think this argument's going anywhere. We'll agree to disagree. All these athletes that we brought up are great athletes. They're the greatest in their respective sports. They've done so much to elevate the game, so much to entertain us. And I still believe that team sports athletes are better because they can lose due to a mistake of an athlete on their team, a mistake of a teammate, or they can even win. I agree. They can even win due to their teammate playing better if they're having an off day. But that's it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in, and please tune in next week. We'll be discussing the two controversial events that took place in the UFC, the last two events, and I'm talking about for those that don't know, Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan's fight, which ended in an illegal knee, and Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad's fight, which ended due to an eye poke. We'll be discussing what rules need to be changed and do the gloves need to be changed. Until then, stay safe, stay home, and this has just been Sports Talk by two Canucks from up north, eh?